Hello, I'm Joanne Gallagher, your Think Future podcast host. Today we are talking to Alain Tuominen of Welado and Alain Anthony Mardo of ORIS to talk about the West Railway infrastructure project, the first of its kind in Finland to be designed using a circular economy model. Join us now to find out how they collaborated on design principles to meet this important milestone. This podcast is brought to you by Arcons, a global leader pioneering solutions and services to the construction and manufacturing industries to support digital transformation for the built environment and smart manufacturing. Visit arcons.world to learn more about how Arcons are helping organizations design, build and solve through digitalization. From Arcons to you, welcome to our Think Future podcast series. Each week, we'll share conversations with industry leaders from around the world to find out how they're thinking future. Subscribe to Arcons Think Future to access more episodes, interviews, and profiles. Alain Tuominen is a project engineer working at Welado. In recent years, she's been working as construction management coordinator in West Railway project, where she has been part of a team focusing on mass haul planning and coordination of sustainable use of natural resources within the project. She has a Master of Science in Material Science, majored in Structural Engineering and Circular Economy of Civil Engineering Materials. Alain Anthony Mardo is a project director at ORIS, where he has previously been involved in overseeing projects on the ORIS platform in various countries. Alain has a genuine passion for the development of environmentally friendly and cost-effective infrastructures, aiming to make them more sustainable, ecological and resilient. He recognises the importance of connecting material data to project data as part of the inevitable revolutionary change in the industry. Hello, Anna and Alain, welcome to the programme. How are you both?
Fine. Thank you very much, Johan, for the invitation.
Very good. Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you. Anna, please can you tell us about your academic background, industry experience, and your role at Welado?
Yes, I'll be happy to. So I'm a Master of Science in Materials Engineering. So my background is originally in structural engineering. But recent years I have had an opportunity to work in a construction management side. My dream was originally to work as a designer, obviously, and a structural engineer. But then things happened and I ended up in Welado, where I've been working as a construction management consultant in different kind of infrastructure projects. And last years I've been working mainly in circular economy related projects, and also I've been heavily invested in mass economy planning of different kind of projects. And this West Railway has been one of the biggest projects I've been concentrating on. And during these years, I'd say I've gained some level of expertise on these topics, quite deep understanding on some aspects of it. And yeah, there's been a journey. Really interesting journey. And yes, and Welado is a project management consultant group. So we work in different kind of railway and road and different kind of linear infrastructure projects as a project coordinators, as project managers, and that is basically our field of expertise.
Thanks for telling us about that. Alain, can you please tell us about your background, industry experience, and your role at ORIS?
Sure. So let me start with my background. I mainly graduated with a double diploma in civil engineering from France and also Lebanon, where I'm originally from. And I also have a master's degree in material science for sustainable construction. So mainly my journey with ORIS began in 2021 as an intern, where I mainly focused on starting my digitization of the industry process by working on digitizing pavement design catalogs, mainly for the United Kingdom, Germany, and a few states in the United States. And then I joined ORIS as a full-time employee in 2021 during the same year. And I'm happy and proud to say that I was one of the very first employees within ORIS. And mainly to answer what is ORIS and what we do. So to make it really simple, and that's why also I was really interested in joining ORIS. ORIS is a company that combines concepts of engineering, sustainability, and tech and data with focus on materials. So I really wanted to kind of combine my knowledge in engineering with having a positive impact on the world and moving forward in, I would say, digitizing the industry. I think we will have some time to talk about that a bit later, specifically on the linear infrastructure industry. But yeah, I was mainly focusing on that, and this is what also drove me joining ORIS today.
It's a wonderful purpose to be able to do that, bring your education into the things that matter in the world for ourselves and our children for generations to come. That's really cool. So how did you get involved with Welado? How did that come about, that project?
Yeah, so mainly at ORIS, at that time, I was a project manager where I was previously been involved on overseeing projects on the platform in various countries. So my contributions were primarily focused on multidimensional analysis. So kind of being here to support companies in doing this multi-criteria analysis by using the platform. So mainly on KPIs such as, I would say, carbon emissions, cost reduction, and material consumption. And also lately as well, all the circularity topics. And I was heavily involved in this project by being the ORIS project lead from our side in support with the Arcans teams, where I was the direct contact between our internal resources, so planning all our resources to reach kind of the goals of the project, and also the Welado and Lancirata teams. So you may see it a bit like a conductor of an orchestra, where I was planning the activities and also making sure that we are on the right track.
An advanced coordinator, conductor. Sounds like. So, Anna, over to you. What is your understanding, or can you explain what the government's approach to design of rail infrastructure in Finland has been up to now?
Yes. So in Finland, traditionally, all the road and railway lines are designed and maintained by our Finnish Transportation Agency, which is a governmental-led agency. But as we have in the recent years started to design new railway lines that are huge projects, also these private companies that design these railway lines have been established. And the West Railway, or Länsirata as we say in Finnish, is one of those. And the West Railway is approximately 100 kilometer long and partly double-track railway link between the Helsinki metropolitan area and then Turku, which is another big city in Western Finland. And currently the project is in the planning stage, but the Finnish government has decided to advance the project to construction stage. So although it's a private company that designs the railway line, the funding is mainly coming from government and also the cities between or along the railway line. So this is a new way for us to design and construct railways. So that is, yes, and I think the main motivation is to try to see if this is more cost-efficient way to design railways. We have a private company, and if there is, yes, like you said, if there is more room for innovation and new ways of doing things.
Collaborating
in private sector, yes.
That's great. Alain, over to you around the technology itself. What role does this technology really play in the design of the railway, West Railway, and what makes it so unique?
Yeah, so just to start, coming back on ORIS and our values, I would say. So just to also mention that ORIS is a mission-driven company, and our mission is to act now for sustainable infrastructure. So we are really putting in place a world-class digital platform with third-party recognizing our robustness in both the data protection and also the scientific approach behind. So just to mention, for example, ORIS has certifications such as the SOC 2, which kind of tells that we are compliant to store and process client data in a secure manner, and also the scientific side on the recognition by Intertek from a methodological standpoint. So this offers already a robust platform that is certified and that allows to do such kind of calculations and estimations. And let's give an example. So on the platform, we can compare design options or scenarios while taking into account the local sourcing and logistical considerations at the same time. So, for example, taking all the real-time distances, modeling a circularity scenario, considering some recycling platforms on site, and so on. And I would say it's a new way of doing things from a design perspective because it's a user-friendly platform. It's flexible, as I mentioned, secure, robust, all that. And I would say the traditional way of doing things today is using, using some really assumptions that sometimes are maybe not validated or that are very pushy at an early design stage, which is normal, I would say, because at an early design stage, we have very limited information. People are really looking into the design. We are limited on time, limited on budget. So we tend to prioritize things that need to be moved forward. And just to give one quick example, but today in life cycle assessment or in sustainability topics, the distances are kind of random. They are averages. So we know, for example, like to get concrete, I can consider 30 to 40 kilometers, but it's not possible to know the real contribution of the stages. So we tend to hear that, yes, the material contribution is 80%, the transportation is about 10 or 15%, and then the rest is 5%. And there is no real data in behind or real context in behind. While we've seen it, I guess, on the project, but when you take a local sourcing environment approach on a 100-kilometer project, you can see the variation in local availability of material, in local availability of sites. And even if you want to go a step further, even in the ground, if we take the ground into consideration, because this will be really important for circularity topic, because quality will be a huge criteria. You do not have the same soil or the same rock along 100 kilometers. So you need really to take all that into consideration. And as I mentioned, with limited time, limited budget, this becomes more and more difficult. So that mainly to answer kind of the advantages of ORIS. And this is also an opener for my second point, which is the importance of collaboration. This is really crucial. I think this is the most standing point, and this is the most, I would say, important one and crucial one, because we need to interact with designers. So they are really the ones that are taking the projects from the beginning. They are receiving all the client requests, all the client kind of criterias, and also their goals and objectives. And they are the ones that are here at the early stage, where we can capture the most carbon savings and plan on the next phases in order to kind of have this kind of goal target to try and reach this design that we've set and try to continue and optimize. But most of the times there's this challenge of constraints, and designers will move in a way to think that, okay, I will start by assessing. I have a reference point, which I will start by calculating. And on this basis, we will benchmark. Then we will try to compare, and we will try to decide and reduce even more. So we like to call that at ORIS the ABCD approach. And this is it. So you have the reference scenario, you compare, and then you keep iterating until you refine and you get to your goals. And I think I've talked too much on that one. So maybe you have a few questions already, but I would like to open up next on talking about avoiding generation of waste, because I think this is mainly one of the goals that was set by Lansirata on this project from the early design stage, and to follow up on how this interaction has been with the designers to try and reach some scenarios in order to assess, benchmark, compare, and then decide on how to move forward.
When you mentioned the ABCD strategic planning process, I think you mean it's part of, well, I have studied the ABCD process as part of a planning process in sustainable development to do with this, the framework for strategic sustainable development, where A is your vision of success, seen through the lens of sustainability principles, environmental and social. And then you have B, where are you now? Where's your baseline? Calculate the emissions and all of that. And then you have C, creative solutions, and then D, prioritize. And we come into that system with the tools, to help people be more creative, more efficient, and help them prioritize against all the trade-offs that you've talked about, because we don't know everything. And you're saying, is this more or less the same thinking?
I would say it's very similar. Mm-hmm. So from my point of view, benchmark, I would really start by assessing where we are now, because we really need to have this baseline. And it's always debatable. I think, Anna, it's safe to say that we had some period of time where we were debating on the reference scenario, but in the end, the main kind of goal of this reference scenario is to be able to measure, because how will you measure your level of improvement? How will you know, am I doing better? Am I doing worse? And you need to have a kind of compromise and a scenario which everyone agrees on, to say, okay, this is kind of our reference. This is to what we want to compare. It might be the actual design plan, so that's kind of one consideration, or it might be a worst case scenario to say that if we had not taken any sustainability or any kind of circular economy or re-employment approach on the project, what would be the cost? What would be the carbon emissions? And just to also showcase and to kind of send this message on how important it is to have such considerations within the project. And that's how we kind of operated on the project. We agreed that it would be good to showcase the impact of not reusing material on a project. What if all the waste generated, we had to send them to landfill? What if all the materials that we use had to be sourced from external material and all the aggregates were kind of virgin aggregates, raw material extraction? And let's see the impact of that, because that would be in a world where, I don't think anyone wants to get there, but in a world where we are not really advanced in technology, not advanced in the way we think, and we are doing kind of the worst case scenario, because it's the easiest scenario. It's always like that, I would say.
Circularity is not a new idea, really. It's been done a long time ago in ancient times. We're just bringing it into the 21st century, these models of circularity, not wasting things and optimizing our efficiencies. And I had an interview with the Victorian government some months ago, and they don't use prescription anymore. They don't, it's a different idea. It's about optimizing what you have in terms of resources, labor, energy, time through design, and then let it be the best it can be right now, because things are always improving and hopefully improving. So we're optimizing what we've got. Is that what I'm hearing from you? Is your approach is to optimize based on what we've got?
Yeah, I think it's a new way of thinking, and it's always trying to see also waste in a way that it can be turned into a valuable material. It's always the case. We can always reuse material. We can always, with the waste generated, turn it back into something that is useful without thinking of, okay, I just need to dump it. I just need to landfill it. And this is a new way of thinking, which I think is progressing on the right track. We see a lot of initiatives today, even from a project owner's perspective, because I would say this is where it starts. And I've had a lot of discussions also from my side with designing firms, which, as I mentioned, it always starts from their standpoint to come up with a design, to come up with a suggestion. And you're asking about how important is sustainability to you, and why do you consider sustainability in your projects? And I think the common answer and the most kind of recurring question was, it was based on two different things. One, the company values. So mainly it's the company implying that we need to have a positive impact and so on. And then the second one, and the most important one, was all the regulations and the client criteria. Because if client asks for sustainability, if clients are asking for their targets, whether it is government or project owners and so on, designers will have to include that in their considerations. But then if client doesn't ask for that, all the efforts will go on trying to optimize something else, which is mainly the cost, I would say, the old way of doing things. And this is changing. So But all this to say that today, really, there's a huge responsibility coming from regulations, project owners to set their targets, and then everyone will follow. But it really starts there, I would say, at the top of the pyramid.
This is really timely because this is the conversation I'm having internally. You know, if the client isn't asking for a sustainable outcome, you know, and they're not using that language, let's say, and you approach them and go, well, we'd like to take you on a journey. We'd like to go on the journey with you. How do you open that conversation with a client who isn't really thinking that way yet? I mean, I know that Europe's way ahead of Australia already, and there's new regulations coming out. They've just identified another one. So you're right, the regulations, the policies are tightening and the regulations are following. So if they're not thinking about it, how do you open that conversation? What sort of questions are you asking your client? More around their vision.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that different countries even are aware that this will come and that they will have to find a solution for it. So some of them accept to already try and plan for it, to be a bit visionary and be ready for when it comes. And we try also to showcase the impact that it could have by discussing on initiatives we are building with other clients, when we can share results to showcase the impact, to always also using our, I would say, our communication streams to whenever we have a use case, a case study, also to communicate on that and to showcase the impact. But regulations will come. And I think governments, project owners are aware of that. We all are seeing kind of the need of positive impact solutions, because we need to be supported to be ready for this huge change that is coming in the next few months. And I think there's always this fear of missing out anywhere we are, whether it is in an industry topic, whether it is missing out on like going out with friends. There's always this fear of missing out. And I think also kind of project owners, governments are aware that they need to keep up with the industry, to keep up with the technology, or they will be left behind. And the day they will want to take this initiative, there will be more and more to kind of take into consideration to get back to where others are already.
That's right. We'll be back to the conversation in just a minute. In the meantime, here's a little bit more about our cons. Our cons has a mission to advance the efficiency, quality and profitability of project outcomes for its customers. Providing best-in-class technology augmented by its in-house developed IP and a full suite of professional services, our cons is trusted by over 40,000 customers globally. If you are looking for a digitalization and sustainability-focused partner to help you achieve your goals, join the thousands of construction and manufacturing customers globally who choose our cons as their digitalization partner. With more than 50 locations around the world, our cons can connect you to the right technologies and expertise, so you can improve your competitive position and increase profitability. Our cons has an industry expert to help you navigate the best pathway forward wherever you are on your digitalization and sustainability journey. Visit ourcons.world to find out more. And now back to our conversation. Anna, in this particular West Railway project, what aspects of circular economy does the solution you got from the technology address?
So yes, if I start with a little bit of history of the project. So in the 2020, the preliminary design phase was concluded. And at that time, we recognized that there is approximately 8 million cubic meters of surplus masses that are generated within the project. So that is a huge amount of surplus masses, which consist of earth and rock materials. And these masses are mainly caused by excessive earthwork, because in Finland, because of our cold environment and the frost-thaw cycles, we have to build really thick layers and do a lot of excavation. So the foundations of railway, they are thicker than in rest of Europe or in the rest of the world. And also this project, it consists of 100 kilometers of rail, but we also have over 100 bridges and we have 22 tunnels. And so there are a lot of blasting, a lot of earthwork, a lot of excavation, and a lot of earth and rock materials are generated. And at that time, we started to think that what is the impact of these masses to the project if we have to move it all to the landfill or to the disposal sites? What is the impact to the climate? What is the impact on the cost of the project? There are many aspects and many factors that affect this problem. And some of those materials could possibly be used within the project. So that was, I think, the starting point that we started to think about it. There has to be some rock materials, at least, that we could use within the project. Also, some of the excavated earth materials could be used within the project. And also, some of those materials could be sold outside the project, so we could serve another parties or another projects that are close to this project. So there was a chance to promote circularity of the project. There was also really good possibility to lower the costs or getting some value of those masses. And of course, one thing was also that the transportation of these masses has an impact on the project, both the CO2 emissions and also the cost. So we knew that there has to be some kind of optimized solution to all of this. How we could use these masses efficiently, how we could do some kind of informed decisions regarding to the CO2 emissions and cost and all that is related to these aspects. And traditionally in Finland, these kind of mass balance or mass economy plans are not optimized or clearly designed, or they are not designed in detail in this preliminary or the design phase. So it is actually really common that we leave it to the contractor. So that it is their responsibility to think how the masses are used and how they are transported and what are the possible sites that they are transferred to. And in a project of this scale, we could not do it because it would not meet our sustainability criteria, or it would not meet our material efficiency goals or targets. And so after the 2020, we started to think that we need some kind of solution to this. We need some kind of advanced software or program or some kind of system where we could gather all the data that is related to this problem and this complex environment, and some kind of platform where we could analyze different aspects, and some kind of system where we could gain information in order to make decisions and plans. So I think that is the history behind this. And then we tried to and thought of a different kind of solutions we had, and we ended up working with ORIS, with Arcans and ORIS. So that is the history of the project. And this is something that has not been done in Finland, at least, never before. That in the project of this scale, in this at this early stage, we design these kind of things in detail.
So was it with the expertise of the ORIS team that helped you think through these challenges? Or is it just the technology, or a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both, because at the 2020 or after that, or I'd say a couple of years ago, 2022, we recognized this problem. So we had our goals and we had our sustainability targets that we want to use these materials as efficiently as we could. And we want to optimize the transportation distances, and we want to have this kind of plan. So the sustainability targets were already there, but we did not have the tools and we did not have the expertise. So I think that is what ORIS brought to the table with their knowledge and with their platform. Also, we had other experts such as geotechnical engineers and geologists and different kind of experts who helped with this project. But I think the ORIS platform was like the glue that held it all together, because the amount of data, it is immense. We have the design data, we have some results of geotechnical experiments, and the amount of data is just huge. So I think the ORIS team and the ORIS platform was the glue that held it all together and helped us to see the big picture.
And you could see the whole system. Everyone could work together as a multidisciplinary team. Was that possible too? Everyone could see together at the same time?
Yes, so that is basically that was the goal, and I think we also managed to get there. So at the moment we have a platform where all the design data from the latest design phase is gathered, and we are able to examine all these different kind of targets, and we are able to analyze the impact of different decisions on CO2 emissions and on cost and material efficiency. So that is, I think, really innovative perspective to this kind of project. And as I already said, it is something that has not been done in Finland, at least never before in this scale.
So when you're doing your reporting, the CSR annual reporting for the corporation, the West Railway, is it this data just flows into that reporting, or do you have to do something with it to get it into the format for the reports that the government wants to see? Do you know what I'm talking about? The CSR.
Yes, so I think Alain can also
I'll throw it over to Alain.
Something to say about this, but yes, I personally think that all the results that we get from the platform, they are really informatively and like clearly presented, so we don't have to process the data further. So that is, I think, the main advantage of the platform. And at least when compared to traditional Excel sheets and this kind of tools that we have been using in this kind of complex problems before.
That's great.
Yeah, I would fully agree on that, and maybe I would ask that with. I would like to mention additionally that exactly also with the Intertech certification that I mentioned earlier, this makes it easier to also accept the criterias and the results that are coming out of the platform. And I would say a step further on this project, but we've also adapted as much as possible to the local regulations. So that's something we've put a lot of effort in taking the guidelines for the carbon emissions and sustainability kind of principles that I think that were coming out at the time when we were doing the project. So we quickly adapted all the carbon emission factors, the different methodology to that as well. And also to support and make it easier to report on those emissions, we've kind of implemented at the end of the project a report summarizing the findings, the methodology, what has been used, in order also to have more transparency, even though the platform is already presented in a way where you can always dig deeper and find the information you're looking for. So you have the overall, I would say, scenario or project results, but you can always go all the way to a specific section and get the materials, the quantities, the carbon factors used, and even see the local production sites that have been selected with the specific transportation distances, taking into consideration even, I would say, at the early stage, some logistics consideration, which is very valuable information to pass on the projects later on and continue iterating on the same basis, not needing to start all over again. And it's a time saver.
Sounds amazing. It's agile, versatile, relevant, and it also allows people to learn, right? So you said you don't have to repeat, learn over and over again. Sharing this knowledge is important too. So you can pull out the case study and, frame it in different ways depending on what you need to teach or share. That sounds awesome. So what is, other than that, is this, the next question was about what is uniquely different about this project and compared to other infrastructure projects. You're sort of touching in on it. Is there anything else you'd like to say about that, making it uniquely different?
I guess the question is for me, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I would really start with the goal and ambition that were set by the West Railway project to prioritize sustainability. So that's already, I would say, a uniquely different way of doing things. And even though more people are getting in that direction, but to do that and to set this goal and target on such a large scale project is already something very different. And it's a very innovative approach from Lansirata, so the West Railway project, to consider using ORIS. It's kind of a first kind eye opener on touch optimization on those mega projects, which, as Anna mentioned, generate a lot of waste quantities, landfilling quantities that usually are not considered at an early stage or even the design. Because I would say the more those considerations come in place, like let's say it would come in place at the construction stage and we're like, oh, let's reuse the material, let's see how we can do that, the more the potential optimization is lost and the potential carbon savings and cost savings are lost. And this is where I would say, like, if you ask today someone, a designer or anyone, what's the cost of building 1 kilometer of road? I think it's relatively an easy question, even if like you go to, okay, can you even say what's the cost of acquiring the material, of the transportation, of the placement? This is something that is well known in the industry. But if you would ask the same question on the carbon emissions, I'm not sure everyone would be able to answer that. I think it's really challenging, not only from the fact of this knowledge and sharing the knowledge, but also from the fact that you can have so many considerations to take in place and always challenge this carbon footprint emission factor. And that's something that was uniquely different on the project. It's to adopt those new emerging technologies in the workflow and engage their own ecosystem to adopt this change in their mindset, to put the milestones, to put also the tools in order to be able to achieve that. And I would like also to use your platform and this opportunity to thank, first of all, anyone who contributed on the project. So mainly talking about Anna, Janne, which we do not have today, but which also it's been really pleasant to work with those people, our partner Arcans, and also a lot of thanks for everyone who's been working behind the scenes. So mainly also internally, all our development team, our data team, our carbon experts. I don't want to forget anyone, but everyone who contributed from one way to another to this project.
There's a lot of people behind this success story. It's really good to mention them. So Anna, you mentioned some of the materials and things that are being measured or were measured along the way. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I ask you about the main lessons or takeaways you've received from this experience?
Yes, I think one thing to mention, which is also something that is not, I think, has not been as addressed in Finland, that or what is now starting to come up, but what has not traditionally been done is that, and what ORIS also helped us to achieve was that we tried to see if all the materials that we generate, mostly the rock materials, are used according to their quality. So if we have high quality rock materials at some points of the line, then we would use them in those, or if we have high quality rock materials that are generated, that we would use them also according to their quality. And I think that is something which was a kind of like a new approach, because in Finland we usually strive to use those materials as efficiently as we can, but they are not, or it is possible that they are not used according to their quality, and this has led to the situation that where we are now, that at some parts of Finland we already have a shortage on high quality rock materials, and I think that was a new approach in this project, that we try to optimize the material usage in a way that the high quality rock materials would not be used in some low quality construction targets or sites. So I think that was also something to mention, and I think ORIS made a really good job with that. So at least I was personally impressed by the solutions, because it is not a simple task to optimize those things.
And did local businesses then that deal with rock, high quality rock, benefit from this project then? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I think that is something we will discuss in the construction phase or the next phase. So right now in those models that we created with ORIS, we considered that we have our own sites where we process the rock materials into those products that we use or need. So I think that was our starting point right now. But when the project further advances to the construction stage, then we will have to take those other parties like rock companies into discussions with us.
Okay, so it sounds like you've learned a lot so far, and there's plenty more to learn because the project's not finished yet. What excites you when you think about all that could come out of this project, and what Finland can learn from this? What excites you the most? I'll ask you first, Anna.
Well, I think first thing to mention is what excites me is the level of ambition of West Railway Company in this project, and also the level of ambition from the ORIS team and our cons and all the people who were somehow related or contributed to this project, because as I already mentioned, it's a really complex task. So it's a really complex optimization problem, and there are many possible things to achieve. So we can achieve CO2 emission reductions, we can promote circularity, we can lower the costs, we can contribute to the conservation of natural resources in Finland and those high quality rock materials. So there are many things to achieve, and some people would say that it's really like too ambitious to try to tackle this problem, because we have a 100 kilometer of rail to be constructed, and we have over 100 bridges, and we have over 20 tunnels, and the amount of materials is huge. But nevertheless, we started to work with this, and we iterated, and we put our heads together. So I think that is what excites me the most, and I think this project can also serve as an inspiration and a starting point to this kind of thinking in Finland, and hopefully around the world also.
Wow, it's an amazing story. Congratulations. I do believe we have all the resources. We just need competent leadership to think through the challenges. And you've just showed that you're doing that and continue to do that. So that's amazing. Alain, what about you? What excites you when you think about projects of this scale in Finland or anywhere else for that matter?
I think I would start with kind of sharing the learning. This is something really exciting for me, and that's something that came through my mind while Anna was talking about circularity and sustainability. So I would say already sharing that there is a huge gap today in between sustainability and circularity, because the tools aren't there yet. The mind thinking, the ambition is not there yet. But just to give one quick example, people tend to think today that if I use circular material or recycled material, it means I'm lowering my carbon emission. And if you think about a project from the scale, if you have high quality rock at the beginning of the project, and then you don't have high quality rock at the end, but your structure do need high quality rock. If you think about transporting materials over, let's say, 60 kilometers or 100 kilometers to fulfill this need, people might think that, I'm reducing the carbon emissions, but it's not the case, because then your recycled material will be offset by all the transportation that needs to be done. And if you think from a logical or logistics perspective, this doesn't make sense as well. What time does it need to do that? So sometimes we need to shift the thinking and also have this approach to think a bit differently and to take the right decisions. And if I come back to the project and what excites me the most, it's kind of the future of infrastructure design, which in my opinion is on the right track. And I'm not talking only about ORIS, but also about the initiatives that are being taken. And I think Finland is a really, really advanced country in that matter of digitizing the industry. And my key learnings from this project are mainly that we are seeing this major shift to circular economy principles, to minimizing waste and to reusing materials. But also to add to that, so circular options are possible and self-sufficiency are possible on infrastructure projects. We can see that, and this needs to be something that we keep in mind and we try to reach always. But also that design planning and optimization are also crucial at an early stage when we want to consider that. Because one, we need to avoid losing this potential reduction. So trying to say that we can reduce the emissions, we can have circularity is something, but then also consolidating this and not losing the data in the next step is something else. And also, we need to avoid material availability conflicts. So to say that it doesn't stop here, there are some scheduling constraints that need to be taken into consideration next. There are also assumptions that need to be refined, revisited. Keep in mind that we are at an early design stage. There are lots of assumptions that were taken that are still agreed on by different experts, whether it is geotechnical experts on the quality, whether it is logistical and planning experts on the different sites that need to revalorize the material and crush it and so on. But we need to take that into consideration. And personally, I'm quite happy to see the progress on linear infrastructure catching up to all the advanced technology that we have for vertical construction. So I say that because myself, I come from studies that I've done in, I would say, building and vertical construction, but then I wanted to shift into this linear infrastructure industry because it's an interesting industry, and I think it's a bit behind when we compare it to vertical industry and where they stand today. So also to mention that what's exciting me also this year is the fact that ORIS is offering this software as a service capacity to move forward, which is opening this capacity to do what has been done on any scale.
Well, I'm really excited now to hear how it's going to go. So how long before the project is ended? Sounds like you're starting construction.
Yeah, so the construction could start, I think, earliest at 2025. So there are some challenges ahead before the construction stage can begin, but it's safe to say that it will probably start in 2025. And if all goes well and planned, then the construction would be finished at the start of 2030, approximately. So I think that is the time scale right now.
Oh, wonderful!
And yes, it will be it will be a long journey, and I'm sure that we will need the help of ORIS and Archons also in the future to meet our targets and goals.
Well, we're partners for the long term. So thank you so much for coming and telling us about this project. I really think it's an exemplary showcase for the industry, and I really wanted to get that story, and you told it so well. So thank you so much for being on the show, Anna and Alain, and you're welcome back anytime to give us an update as you go along.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot for having us, and good to see you, Anna.
Good to see you too.
Thank you. This podcast was brought to you by Archons. Archons is leading the digital transformation of the construction and manufacturing industries, providing best-in-class technology solutions from world-leading partners and their own in-house development software, from the Archons Be Smart portfolio for building, infrastructure and manufacturing, and a full suite of professional services. Archons is a company that cares about creating and building a better world. Together, we are working with industry and environmental experts, providing forums and platforms through our Archons Think community to create conversations that matter to our future generations. We invite you to join in the conversation and participate in our Think community. Like and subscribe to our Think Future newsletter to stay up to date with the latest innovations and conversations as we advance the digital journey for construction and manufacturing around the world. You can download our podcasts at ourcons.world or from your favourite podcast platform. From our Cons Think Future, thanks for listening.